cats, it's your midsole man, Eddbud here. Only every other year do ASICS update their top tier super shoe, and 2024 is that year. We have here the ASICS METASPEED SKY PARIS. It's got a softer midsole foam than before, a mega light upper and some tremendous traction. Is this the best ASICS super shoe yet? Let's find out. Welcome to the channel, Eddbud here, your midsole man. Today I have a review of the ASICS METASPEED SKY PARIS. This is a shoe that ASICS have sent over to me for review, but they're not going to get to vet my views before my valued viewers get to see them. They're not paying me to make this video, basically. This is their latest iteration of their top tier super shoe. There is another version, the METASPEED Edge Paris. I don't have that one right now, I'm just focusing on the Sky today. A quite staggering 208 grams for my UK size 11, US size 12. So it's about 7.3 ounces, makes it even lighter than the last version of the METASPEED Sky Plus. I think that was like 230 or something, so quite how ASICS have done it, I do not know. On foot, it barely feels like you've got anything there, people. It's ridiculously light. Certainly when you compare it up against something like the VAPORFLY 3, for example. In terms of my sizing, it's about 25 grams lighter than the VAPORFLY 3, 40 grams lighter than the Endorphin Pro 4, and a whopping 50 grams lighter than the Adios Pro 3. That should tell you all you need to know about the weight on this one. We have a new version of the ASICS top tier foam here. Flight Foam Turbo Plus. It's a little bit softer than what we had in the last version of the shoe. They have changed up things here. We've got a little bit more midsole foam underfoot, but we still have that slightly flatter plate that goes through the midsole. This one's aimed at people that increase their stride length as they get faster, as the effort level goes up, and that really is me down to a T. I got a lot to say about this shoe, so I'm not going to mess around too much. Let's get straight into the upper. Upper-wise, it's quite the simple affair, really, very reminiscent of the previous version of the METASPEED Sky. ASICS are calling this new upper mesh Motion Wrap 2. It's very flexible, almost like a sock really. It is incredibly thin and very breathable. It doesn't feel too scratchy or rough as some sort of engineered meshes on uppers can feel sometimes. It does mean you can almost bend the upper around the foot. It creates this glove-like fit. I did get a little bit of bunching down towards the initial eyelets here, but nothing to really write home about. Didn't find it uncomfortable, and I think that most people will find the upper on this new version of the METASPEED very accommodating sort of fit. Even if you have a slightly wider foot, you might be okay. The tongue isn't attached at all. There's no gusseting here. It feels like a felt material that you might pick up at the local haberdashery. You have to spend a little bit of time to get it to lay flat. It does want to sort of curl over a little bit, though it does a reasonable job of stopping those perforated laces here from sort of digging into the top of your foot. I've used both a thinner sock and a slightly thicker one too. I didn't really have any discomfort, no rubbing here whatsoever, though it won't be for everybody. I think this very thin tongue is very much telling you what you need to know about the shoe. It's for going quick. You won't want to hang around in this one. We do have a little padding around the back of the foot here in the ankle. There's even some vents here at the back of the shoe. They've thought of everything really, trying to make this one a very usable model, regardless of what climate you're running in. I am a fan of the perforated laces on this model. They do work very well. It creates some really consistent tension across the top of the foot. Every time I've laced it up, I haven't had to retighten the shoe whatsoever. That isn't the case in all the super shoes I've reviewed recently. I don't feel like the upper gives too much either. It's felt pretty darn good straight out the box. I really like this shoe in terms of the upper and its low profile design. It seems to stay out of the way of my heel, ankle and Achilles. Quite the opposite, I suppose, of something like the VAPORFLY 3. Just seems to promote really good range of motion. I think the very thin tongue and the lack of padding may put a few people off, though in fairness it's very much a revision of the METASPEED Sky Plus. If you like that shoe, you're gonna like the upper on this one. It fits me like a glove and feels really comfortable even at pace. It's very minimal, and I think that benefits the business section of the shoe, which really is the midsole. And it's pretty easy to clean as well. Use some Reshoevn-ator and I've got it looking sparkling once again. Within reason, of course. There's absolutely nothing at all I dislike about this one. It is a really banging upper. I'm going to give the METASPEED Sky Paris a 3 out of 3 for the upper after my initial runs. My initial runs in this one, about 16 miles total, throwing in lots of half marathon paced effort. Just feels good really across all the paces so far for me, all those sort of different effort levels. Midsole, midsole, midsole now. Oh, the favourite bit, I suppose, for most people, the midsole of the shoe, and it is absolutely extraordinary. Boy, oh boy, what a fun ride. The instant I put them on, I knew I was going to enjoy these. Fun, exciting, very dynamic. The strange thing about it is, it doesn't really feel like one of those super shoes that's too soft in the heel. Almost like promotes you to land in the heel, a bit like a trampoline, I suppose. Really helps you to drive your knees up and increase that stride length. It really does work. Bounces you along. With some intervals of 16 minutes at half marathon pace on tired legs. For a race 2 days before, the shoe just really flung me forwards, urging me to keep on driving, and the session was soon over, leaving me with a big smile on my face. That new foam is that bit softer than what we had in the previous version. Just feels a little bit more forgiving, not quite so firm. Does mean that you can sort of load that midsole a little bit more. The muscles are just protected a little bit more. There's some more compression here. Doesn't feel quite as rebound-like as the previous version. At a stretch, I'd actually say this is one of the closest shoes that I've worn of recent time to the original Nike VAPORFLY 4% Flyknit, but with more additional underfoot stack. That foam gives way after the initial impact at either the heel or the midfoot, then flings the foot back upwards. It's quite the sensation and a really intoxicating blend. I found the shoe feels good at any pace so far to me. Even some sort of recoveries, it's nice and squashy enough. Easy treadmill efforts like 8:30 to 8 minutes per mile, through to half marathon pace, which for me is round about 6 minutes 40 to 6 minutes 50 per mile. And this shoe would absolutely suit me for the marathon as well. If I'm running a little bit slower than that, somewhere in the middle of 7 minutes 30 per mile, something like that. I mean, it's so forgiving on the legs. I've been wearing this the last 3 days. I don't feel like I've run today, and that's an odd one considering I did. I actually forgot. That's how forgiving the foam is in this shoe. Not that I'm telling you to run in this shoe every day. I think you'd wear it out reasonably fast if you did. But it's that enjoyable. There is a very slight presence of that midsole arch here, but nothing like the Alpha Fly if you've had a problem with that one. I think the plate position actually helps a bit with this shoe. It sort of stabilizes everything you do in it. I didn't find the arch too detectable once I started running whatsoever. And that's what you do in these shoes. You know, no one's walking around in them, are they? Well, I hope not anyway. I do wonder if my successes in the previous version of this shoe will be the same in this one, and it's down to plate placement, I think. I seem to be able to drive my knee sort of that bit harder, really pick up the speed. These shoes just seem to help me increase my stride length, and I'm getting better paces for less effort. And I've tested out lots of the shoes which kind of almost want to roll you through your stride and increase the cadence rather than the stride length. Those don't seem to work quite as well for me. This one just really hits the spot. It could be why I find the Alpha Fly and perhaps the Tempo Next Percent have similar kind of aggressive feels. They make me want to run quickly. Similar plate placements and setups in those shoes as this one. Maybe I've struck on the winning formula, who knows? Maybe I'm just getting fitter. I don't know, it could be all of these things put together. For me though, it's going to be my go-to race shoe. It's knocked me socks off. Certainly one of the most fun and exhilarating rides in a long, long time. All the great things I loved about the previous one in the midsole, but amplified even more here. I'm going to give a 3 out of 3 for the midsole after my initial runs. Outsole wise, we've still got ASICS grip here, and it does the business. Very similar to what we had in the previous version. There is a slight cutout here with some more exposed midsole foam. They've kind of chamfered the foam here. It through the middle might actually give us a little bit more durability and longevity. It's like a ping pong bat Swiss cheese like here. And get your crackers out, maybe some mulled wine. Grip I found is superb on cornering. It's quite a sticky rubber, really. I found it to be almost identical to the previous version of the shoe in almost all fronts. Now, there is a lot of exposed midsole here. You can't get away from that fact. You will get some wear on this, though ASICS have improved things. Back here in the heel, they've stretched the rubber back a little further. I think that's going to give us some enhanced durability in the Metaspeed Sky Paris. You will get some debris lodged in this section here of the outsole. You're not going to get away from that. I think this rubber section here really does help to stabilize things also, along with that plate. I do recall the Flight Foam Turbo getting a bit chewed up. This is a new material though. It is slightly different to what we had before. Only time and miles will tell if it still gets chewed up. back here in the heel. But it's looking pretty reasonable so far, and I have been putting it through its paces. I think there's a trade-off between some more bounce and grip by having this exposed section here. Does feel a little bit more springy, a little bit more energized up front. I mean, it's a trade-off always with a running shoe, isn't it, between durability, weight and function, but that's exactly what we've got here. So, been great on the road and pavements, even in some wet areas too, does seem to work. It's not a shoe that I would recommend running in trails or anything like that. You're just going to destroy it in no time, but that's not what it's intended for in any way. When I was running in this one, I did have memories come back to me of the ASICS London 10K last year and that wonderful grip that ASICS have managed to achieve here. I'm going to give this one a 2.9 out of 3 for the outsole after my initial runs. Value now, and it's good news. They've kept it about the same price as last time. How many times have I been able to say that with a super shoe over the last few years? So this is going to be £220 here in the UK. Sorry, Earth credits. Hands down makes it one of the cheaper super shoes on the market. It's about 15 quid less than the VAPORFLY 3 from Nike, 60 quid and almost 60 grams lighter than the AlphaFly 3. I think almost all super shoes have increased in price, but ASICS have been really good this time around and kept it the same. And don't forget, the last version came out 2 years ago, so they've kept it where it is. Well done, ASICS. Quality-wise, shoes really great out the box. ASICS stuff always feels pretty good, like there's some care and attention gone into the manufacture of the shoe. Does smell good too, and that's always a bit of a boon when you get a new running shoe, right? There's a level of craft here. It does feel like it's not a total redefining of a super shoe, but they've got all the things that I've ever wanted and kind of placed them into one. And in terms of excitement and desire and need, I think it's pretty much all here. I guess at some point I'm going to have to, not wear it for a bit and keep it back for some racing, but I just want to wear it now. In fact, I want to put this shoe on right now and go out and run. That's how much I like it. Could you do an awful lot to change it and make it better? I'm not really sure what I would do. I love the fact that they've increased the width here in the midsole. You get that almost like AlphaFly squash effect. Kind of feels almost like a more nimble, invincible run from that respect, because you've got such a wide platform here in the forefoot. I think certainly if you're a lighter runner, you want something that's not going to weigh you down too much, loads of extra tech, then this is absolutely the shoe to go for. I think if you're going to use it for its intended purpose on road and pavement, it's going to last a reasonable amount of time as well. And I think the rear rubber could help with that as well to expand the longevity. I'm going to give it a 2.9 out of 3 for value. Great price and certainly brings it into the lower category of the super shoes. And I've got to be honest, it looks absolutely awesome too. Love that sort of gradient effect here. Okay, if I've added all the scores up correctly, I think that gives us 11.8 out of 12 after my initial runs for the ASICS METASPEED SKY Paris. Were you a fan of the previous model? Have you been lucky enough to pick up a pair of these? I know that a few leaked out. I think there is a release very soon here in the UK. I think the rest of the world have got them already. If you're enjoying the shoe or not, let me know down in the comments. Very quick musical interlude for you. With a shoe like this, you need a truly legendary song to listen to while running in it, and I've selected Chuck Berry's Dear Dad. This is a sort of letter that Chuck Berry's writing to his dad, asking him for some more funds to buy a new automobile, so it's gonna, get him from A to B a little bit quicker and some more style. I love this track, the vibe, the tones of the guitar, Chuck Berry's sort of aggressive playing. I think it was recorded in London actually on one of his tours when he came over. They smashed it out, this distortion on the recording. And Chuck Berry's lyrics are fantastic this time. A real poet, a real lyricist. What do we get now? Like na-na-nas and, repeated stuff all the time. This is like a little story. You can almost imagine him writing the letter to his dad, asking him for some extra cash, to help him out because his car's not the greatest. Wonderful tones here on the guitar, definitely worth checking out. Dear Dad by Chuck Berry. Thanks for tuning in, people. Hope you enjoyed today's review. I've certainly enjoyed making it for you. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you